Okay, everybody. This is the third quadrant, and this is for True Seekers. He got the third quadrant. As y'all see me pulling out of the box, that's the fourth butter clip in, so like that. Here's his, and the last one's going to be going to Chi-Town Brakes. Okay, so let's get Jason started. Truth Seekers started. Truth Seekers, Jason, whatever. He looks at both. Alright, see what we got. We got Frank Frisch, St. Louis Cardinals, 1931. I stepped on a pair of scissors, that wasn't comfortable. Ripper Collins, St. Louis Cardinals, 1933. JoJo White, Detroit Tigers, 1935. Hank Greenberg, hit pennant winning homer, 1934. John Whitehead, Chicago White Sox, 1935. Emo Yachty, remarkable rookie year, 1926. Tony Pyatt, Pittsburgh Pirates, second base, 1932. Kiddo Davis, New York Giants, 1933. That's actually his name, because if it's a nickname, it actually says nickname up in the little top right corner. Fred Hymick, Philadelphia Athletics, 1922. If you haven't watched either one of the first two quadrants, there's subsets, and I'll show you on this one, because it's got one. Al Wingo, played just one full season, but hit 370, 1924. And you'll see up in the upper corner, it says trivia. I'll show you one of the big breaks that, these are the breaks that, Brandon got a while ago. Like, here's Lou Gehrig, and you see that they've all say, great stories. All the big ones, because that's Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth. We have hit these in the first ones. Another Ty Cobb. They all say great stories up in the thing, except for the second Ty Cobb on his says Triple Crown winner. But so we did have some, we did hit some of the big cards, most of the really big, the biggest cards in that whole set in the first two quadrants. So hopefully we'll hit some more, and I'm still hoping we hit an autograph. So Sam Rice, it was a whale of a catch, 1925. Johnny Basler, Detroit Tigers, 1926. Hans Lobert, Philadelphia Phillies, 1936. Bob Feller, Oakland Indians versus the White Sox, 4/16/40. No, I mean, even the, this one's Hippo Vaughn, Reds versus Cubs, 5/2/17. As I open up the next pack, I saw one autograph from this, and it was from a player I didn't even recognize, and it was going for over $200 on eBay. But it kind of hit me, as old as these cards and players are, to have an autograph from any of them, even if it's not one of the big name stars, would be, pretty cool. So I'm hoping we hit a autograph, even if it's not, a Babe Ruth. Well, it wouldn't be Babe Ruth, but because They said that they had cut signatures, but I don't see how they could do a cut signature on these cards, but maybe it's just including the pack or something. Walker Cooper, St. Louis Cardinals, 1942. Mike Gonzalez, St. Louis Cardinals, 1934. Russ Venata, New York Yankees, 1928. Reminds me whenever Jabs had the commenter say that he pulled a Babe Ruth on-card autograph. That'd be a trick to pull that out of a 2019 pack. Basically, either you got somebody that can time travel or it's fake. But most likely, the obvious reason, the guy was lying. So, anyways, I thought that was funny. Joe McCarty, the greatest manager in baseball, 1926. Lou Riggs, Chicago Cubs, 1936. Doc Gautreaux steals the hearts of the fans, 1928. I got a little table over here beside if you wonder where I'm putting those cards. Alan Sawthorne, St. Louis Browns, 1917. Wally Gerber, St. Louis Browns, 1923. I also found out that the St. Louis had both the Browns and the Cardinals for at least a couple of years because they have cards from both the same year and both from St. Louis. Val Pickenich, Boston Red Sox, 1923. That first quadrant that opened was almost like every other card was just about was like a Cincinnati Red card, which Brandon, that's who he's a huge fan of, so it worked out perfectly for him. So we got Ted Blankenship, Oakland White Sox, I can't see, Chicago White Sox, 1928. There's the Johnny Mize card. Finally got into World Series, 1942. And that's another great story because Johnny Mize is a star too, so I'll put that into a top loader for True Seekers. That's first really big hit for him. First big name anyway. Dolph Lick, the Key, 1926. George McQuinn, St. Louis Browns, 1940. Montgomery Pearson, Indians versus Yankees, 6/27/38. Fred Toney, Reds versus the Cubs, 5/2/17. Remember next pack. Pod Trainer. He was a miraculous fielder, 1937. Seal Johnson, St. Louis Cardinals, 1928. Ty Bell, St. Louis Cardinals, 1929. Found this in one of the other packs too. They had like 3 or 4 St. Louis Cardinals cards right in a row. Phil Weintraub, New York Giants, 1935. Bill Terry, last National League player to bat 400, 1927. Jeep, Cleveland Indians, 1935. Figure that's got to be a nickname on the nickname ones. Yeah, kind of obvious on that one. Roy Hartzell. Thanks. His former team with 8 RBIs, 1913. Harvey Hendrick, Chicago Cubs, 1933. Maury Arnovich, Cincinnati Reds, 1940. Sheriff Blake, Chicago Cubs, 1925. Percy Jones, Chicago Cubs, 1926. Merv Shea, Detroit Tigers, 1939. Jim Weaver, Cincinnati Reds, 1938. Johnny Vandermeer, Reds versus Dodgers, 6/15/08. And Dutch Leonard, Red Sox versus Tigers, 6/3/18. All right, that's good, but really like to see, let's get truth, like the Babe Ruth or the Ty Cobb or something like that. Or an autograph, any autograph. All right. The Clown Prince of Baseball, Washington Senators. He was a coach 1928. What's that say up in the corner of him? All the nicknames. Jesse Haynes, St. Louis Cardinals, 1925. I'm not hollering out everything that's up in the upper right hand corner due to time, but y'all, when I put them up there, y'all should be able to see them if you want to. Bill Delancey, St. Louis Cardinals, 1940. Frank O'Rourke, St. Louis Browns, 1930. Same. You got the Browns, you got the Cardinals. Same years. So they had two teams, apparently. The Beast, Philadelphia Athletics, 1927. I think that was a duplicate. I think that was the very first card we did in this quadrant. Bucky Walters, Cincinnati Reds, 1939 Triple Crown. I'll put that in the top order for truth. Earl Sheely, Chicago White Sox, 1926. Fresco Thompson, Philadelphia Phillies, 1927. That's an umpire card. I don't really go over the umpire cards. Mike Donlin, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1912. No, that was a why not in the Hall of Fame card. Dizzy Dean, he had a hard time beating the Cubs, 1932. And that's one of the great stories. Put that in the top loader for truth. Pid Purdy, Cincinnati Reds, 1928. Pid Purdy was the one that was known for playing baseball and football. Johnny Allen, New York Yankees, 1932. Oops. Glad it wasn't one of the great cards. Bobby Burke, Red Sox versus Senators, no hitter, 8/8/31. It's really weird saying 8/8/31, but it's what it was at the time. Jeff Trousseau, Giants versus Phillies, 9/6/12. And that's the last card in that pack. We got, looks like 5 packs to go. Not a long time. Yeah, I think we're okay. We've got 15 minutes left. I found out from the other one, as long as it just goes a little bit over, it seems to go through okay. If it goes more than 5 minutes over, it'll kick it back out at me for some reason. Luke Appling, Chicago White Sox, 1933. Les Bell, St. Louis Cardinals, 1925. Joe Medwick, St. Louis Cardinals, 1937. Tom Patton, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1932. Hack Wilson, most home runs in a season for the National League, 1924. Big Poison, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1932. Jack Fortner derails the big train, 1927. Don Hurst, Philadelphia Phillies, 1930. Ken Odia, New York Giants, 1939. Earl Mack, Philadelphia Athletics, 1924. Lefty Grove, a Rip, 1935. Carl Fisher, 1937, Cleveland Indians. Pep Young, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1935. Vern Kennedy, Indians versus White Sox, 8/31/35. Last card in this one is Claude Hendricks, Wells versus Rebels. Never heard of either one of those teams, but it was on 5/15/15, which looks kind of neat on that card. 5/5/5, actually 5/5/5 would have been cooler, but I haven't seen that one yet. Okay. Next pack. Jumbo Brown, New York Yankees, 1935. Gabby Street, St. Louis Cardinals, 1932. Grover Alexander, St. Louis Cardinals, 1926. I guess when these came out, they were actually more expensive a pack than the Topps Finest was in 93. And I remember buying some of the packs Topps Finest in 93, and it was expensive. Unheard of for baseball cards back then. Art Sherez, 1929, Chicago White Sox. Because I remember somebody saying that nobody would ever complete the set because it was just too expensive to do so. Now you can buy one the whole set if it's not the refractor set on eBay for like $60. Gabby Harnett, Homer in Gloman, whatever that is, 1926. But yet the refractor set goes for like $20,000, I think is what I saw it on eBay for. The Big Train, Washington Senators, 1937. Jim Tabor, 4 home runs, 1 RBI and double header, 1938. Can't be 1 RBI. 11 RBIs. Remember, so you can't hit 4 home runs and only have 1 RBI. Grover Hartley, New York Giants, 1924. Fred Frankhouse, Boston Braves, 1933. Babe Pinelli, Cincinnati Reds, 1923. Mickey Cochran, like he'd been hit with an axe, 1934. Jack Warner, Detroit Tigers, 1925. George Selkirk, New York Yankees, 1938. Bill Dietrich, Browns versus White Sox, 6/137. Jimmy Lavender, Cubs versus Giants, 8/31/15. And then number 3. Come on, get the Babe Ruth, get the Ty Cobb. We still haven't hit the Cy Young yet. On any of them yet. Johnny Burnett got 9 hits in 1 game, 1932. Wally Rodiger, St. Louis Cardinals, 1927. Daffy Dean, St. Louis Cardinals, 1939. Gabby Harnett, Homer in the Gloman, that's a repeat card. Kind of hard to forget that one. Kirk Cutler, Dirty Call Decide Series, 1925. I wonder if that's one of the Black Sox series. Doesn't show who he played for. I remember that, but the Boston Red Sox and Cincinnati Reds. I think it was the 1919 the 1919 series. Home Run Baker, Philadelphia Athletics, 1909. That's another person we haven't seen in any of these cards yet. It's Honus Wagner. And this set goes from 1905 to 1945, 1942, I think. So he's definitely in here somewhere. Don Hefner, New York Yankees, 1935. Jewel Inns, Detroit Tigers, 1932. Eric McNair, Philadelphia Athletics, 1930. Johnny Heving, Boston Red Sox, 1928. Percy Jones, Chicago Cubs, 1926. One thing for sure, they did not just load these things down with the stars to get people to buy the packs. Merv Shea, Detroit Tigers, 1939. Jim Weaver, the Cincinnati Reds, 1938. Johnny Vandermeer, that's a duplicate. Dutch Leonard, Red Sox versus Tigers, 6/3/18. Then there was 2. Doc Kramer, Philadelphia Athletics, 1933. Miller Huggins, St. Louis Cardinals, 1923. Billy Southworth, St. Louis Cardinals, 1926. There's those Cardinals again. I don't know what it is about in the beginning of the packs. Seems like they threw like 3 of them in there every time. Lil Stotner, Detroit Tigers, 1925. Earl Combs scored winning run in 1927 World Series. What? In 27 series, but this is a 1924 card. I guess they talk about him later, but that's when the picture was taken. I think that'd be the only way that makes any sense. High Pocket, Cincinnati Reds, 1929. Bruce Campbell, Most Courageous Athlete, 1936. Johnny Broca, New York Yankees, 1934. Ossie Witt, Detroit Tigers, 1917. Billy Herman, Chicago Cubs, 1932. Lloyd Wayner, Gee, the Balls Lost, 1940. A.B. Wright, Cleveland Indians, 1935. Hal Trotsky, Cleveland Indians, 1936. Daffy Dean, that's a duplicate. Jim Scott, White Sox versus Senators, 5-14-14. Only got 1 pack left. I'm gonna do it on time. 27 minutes, that's pretty good. Okay. We'll definitely be able to make that then. John McGraw, manager without fear, now without peer. Okay, 1909. Ernie Orsatti, 1928. Johnny Mize, that's a good card. 1936. I don't think he's got a Johnny Mize yet, does he? No. Frank Gabler, New York Giants, 1935. Little Poison, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1936. Rod Linsberger, Thames Numbers Row 5 times, 1926. Bib Falk, Chicago White Sox, 1925. Tony Carroll, Detroit Tigers, 1925. Bill Dickey, New York Yankees, 1928. Dick Bartrell, New York Giants, 1937. Hank Greenberg, I Just Ran Out of Gas, 1937. Carl Fisher, Cleveland Indians, 1937. Gene Robertson, St. Louis Browns, 1925. And the last two cards of True Seekers Quadrant is Bobo Newsom, Red Sox versus Browns, 9/18/34. And Rube Marskard, Giants versus Giants, 4/15/15. Thanks for watching, and I will upload this one, and I will have the fourth and final quadrant for Chi-Town in just a bit. Thanks.